Continuing on, this is interesting. So Young Buck has officially been freed from G-Unit Records. Yes, he is no longer with them. They can't no longer stop him from releasing music. They can't copyright claim, take down his music, besides the old stuff, obviously. But anything moving forward from now that Young Buck releases, he will face no issue when it comes with G-Unit Records. Why? Because he has sold, somebody has bought his basically assets. He sold a lot of his assets off, and we talked about this a while ago about him selling his catalog to pay back a lot of debts that he had, not only to 50, but to the IRS and some child support stuff. So let's go over the article. Young Buck is set finally to pay off his debt to his former friend and label boss, 50 Cent, as their legal dispute has come to an end. Buck owed $250,000 resulting from a loan that G-Unit boss paid to his former artist to cover his financial problems. Now Buck, real name David Brown, has gone through a bankruptcy process and has been able to pay off his debts to 50, according to All Hip Hop. The straight out of Cashville rapper sold off his most valuable assets as part of his bankruptcy, including items of jewelry, luxury cars, and the rights to his back catalog, raising just over $1 million. He used the $1 million to free his obligations to 50, as well as pay off $190,000 IRS lien, plus child support debt. Buck is now free of any recording obligations to 50 Cent and is able to resume earning income from his rap career. And as expected, it did not take 50 long to react to the news. He wrote, "I don't know why they make me go through this part, but I'm going to need that money by Monday." What do I think of this, right? So when we reported on it, we posted on our Instagram page, and people were like, there's a lot of support for Young Buck in the comments, and there were a lot of clowning him, saying, oh, he had to sell his back catalog. All he got is $1 million, blah, blah, blah. First off, okay, so you sell the back catalog. He sold it for $1 million, a little over $1 million. It's like $1,070,000, right? Paid off $250,000. So he's left with $750,000, give or take, whatever. I'm not going to go directly in the numbers, but $750,000 left. Pays off the IRS, which is $190,000. What's the math on that? You take $100,000 off $650 plus $90,000. I'm horrible at math, so it's $90,000. $650 minus $90,000. I'm terrible at math. It's $560,000, right? He owed some. I don't remember the numbers because they did break this down a while ago, and we did talk about it on the podcast. But he owed some child support. I think it was like phone bill that he had as well that was in the thousands, and then he had like a child support thing. So let's just say another $100,000 he takes off, right? Basically left with $460,000. With that, like, you can do something with that money. And for people to think that he's flat broke is just wild to me, man. I don't think people realize how lucrative classic music is. Young Buck has classic music. Shorty Wanna Ride With Me is a classic that gets played day in and day out. And as we talked about earlier in the podcast, what happens after 35 years? We're about to reach the 20-year anniversary of Young Buck straight out of Cashville. And another 15 years, the masters, all the royalties, all the rights are going to revert right back to Young Buck. And he's going to have money making from that album. Now, are people going to stream the album another 15 years from now? Possibly. Could Buck potentially revive his career musically? Very slim chance. I'm going to be 100% honest. But it's possible. He could, if Taylor Swift is a fan of Young Buck. She said it, she used to drive by Buck's house when she was young, got inspired by him. If Taylor Swift just says, hey, I want to do a song with Young Buck, let's do a Shorty Wanna Ride 2020, whatever, 5 version, which we've seen a lot of remixes from songs in the early 2000s. Let's just say Taylor Swift says that. It's over. Like, he's on a whole different level. He can use that momentum, drop songs, and make money off his career. So this isn't really a big, like, people are commenting saying, he lost, blah, 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 he's broke. First off, do you have $1 million in assets? That's the number one thing. Before you call somebody else broke, do you have $1 million in assets? You probably don't if you're calling somebody broke. Most people that talk shit online about people's finances are broke as fuck themselves. Second, like I said, his back catalog and stuff will all revert to him in the future. So he doesn't have to really, it sucks right now. Bite the bullet. It is what it is. But at least now he has a fresh start. You can potentially release the album that he had playing with DJ Paul, start doing tours, start moving around properly, doing interviews, doing his thing, being more free. So it is a W on Buck's part. It's a W for 50. He just got $250,000. If that's what he actually, if that's what Buck actually owed him. A lot of people are thinking this $250,000 is what 50 paid his taxes a while ago. That's not the reason why. This is basically what Buck says. I don't know if 50 hasn't really spoken on this in detail 100%. Buck says 50 gave Buck a different contract when the June 2014 reunion happened. He gave everybody else independent contracts that didn't have like an album requirement, but for Buck, he had like multiple album requirements. So he left him stuck in a contract. And then that fell through, and then Buck and 50 weren't cool, and then Buck was like, hey, I'm giving you albums, you guys aren't accepting them, which is, I don't know how that situation works. But he's saying, listen, I've given 50 all this music and said, hey, put them out as albums, do your thing, get your money, but they haven't accepted them as albums, and whatever the case may be in that situation. I don't know the 100% details, but that's basically the gist of it. And then 50's kind of kept him basically on the leash and said, hey, you're not going anywhere, you're not doing anything, you're dropping any new music, I'm taking it down, you're still contractually under me. Well, Buck is now officially free. And, listen, are people going to be like, oh, 50's a bad person for doing this? I can see why people say that, right? Buck just wants to move on with his life. 50's making it hell to do that. But we have to remember, too, nobody's ever had label issues with 50. Buck's only one. And I think the reason why Buck's had these label issues is because 50's probably given him a lot more money than he's gotten back from Buck. Because we have to remember, in 2005, 2006, when Buck was owing a bunch of taxes, 50 stepped in and paid that. Buck says he eventually paid him back for that stuff. But who knows what happened behind the scenes that rubbed 50 the wrong way, where it was like, you're playing with my money. You never see Yayo, Banks, Game ever have this situation. Hell, you had MOP that was signed to June in 2006 say they were overpaid. 50 was just giving them budgets and never asked for a penny back. So clearly something went wrong behind the scenes with Buck and 50, where it just rubbed 50 the really wrong way, and he was just like, fuck this guy, I'm going to make his life a living hell. It's sad to see because I'm a fan of all of them. I pray and wish for the best for all of them, man. I'm fans of them. God forbid if one of them dies one day, I'm going to be crying like a little bitch because I grew up on G-Unit. That's my number one thing, that I have no sides. I don't pick a side. I love them all equally. I support them all equally when they drop music, whatever they're doing. I try to support them all in everything they do because I'm a fan of all of them. My goal, of course, I've talked about this millions of times, is to have all of them sit in a room and do a podcast. Just have Game, Buck, 50, Banks, Yayo. Will that ever be possible? I think in my mind, I'm crazy enough to think that's possible. I don't know, but it's hard to do that because 50 is basically the richest and 50 doesn't have to do it. It would be cool to get like at least 4 of them. 50 doesn't want to do it because he's the richest, doesn't have to. Yayo, Buck, Game, and Banks would be really cool. I think here's the thing. I think these are the people that would be cool doing it. Game, Buck, and Yayo. I think Banks and 50 would be the hardest ones to like get them to agree to something like this. But Buck is good, man. Clean slate. Actually, I'm going to talk to somebody close to Buck. They messaged me saying Buck is ready. I don't know what that means. I'll be talking to them down the line, and we'll see if we can get to work with Buck on some things. Come on the podcast, do an interview, because I have an astronomical amount of questions that I'm really, really intrigued to ask. And I think he would have the best interview with me, period, because of me being the biggest fan of G-Unit and just knowing their history and everything. But yeah, we'll keep our eyes posted, and good luck to Young Buck, man. Fresh start. I don't see this as a bad thing. I see it as a fresh start, and sometimes that's what you need. That's the best thing you can hope for. And don't worry about the catalog, man. It will revert back to you after 35 years. Be good to go, and you'll be able to live. He'll probably make, at least $500,000 a year to $1 million a year off his back catalog once it gets released to him. At least minimum. I don't know. Maybe it might be less, might be more. Who knows? Because I don't really know the numbers and how they work. But with streaming, with old songs coming back to life again, like look at Jaquan Tipsy. Everybody in the club get tipsy. That song came out in 2003, 2004. Now you got Shaboozey that sampled it. That is a #1 record. You don't think that's boosting Jaquan's pockets right now? That's probably skyrocketing his pocket. He's happy as hell that, hey, I'm a one-hit wonder, basically. And I got a whole new life 20 years later. So that could happen with Buck's music, especially with Shorty Wanna Ride. Shorty Wanna Ride with me. We can get low. I would sample Get Buck. That beat is crazy, by the way. But, yeah, we'll keep our eyes posted, and we'll see what happens moving forward.